are live.
We're live. Wow.
And it is Friday, something, November 15th?
Wow.
16th? 15th.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. I am Penny.
And I'm Gary.
And we are back from our marriage retreat and our tromping around North Carolina and the beautiful mountains of North Carolina last weekend. It was so wonderful. I loved it so much, didn't I?
Yeah, I thought you did.
It was wonderful. But tonight we wanted to give a little bit of our testimony. Called it Hoping Against Hope. Because that's what we did for quite a while. And we kind of still are. There are things that we need miracles to have our dreams come true. And we're waiting and hoping and keeping up our hope. And it's like Abraham was. We're hoping against hope. Some things just don't even look possible that we are really wanting to have happen. But like Abraham, back in 2005, we left everything we knew. We had lost everything. We had been trusting God to take care of us, but He did take really good care of us and kept us in our house for 4 years. Even though we had no money, we had no income, and we just were able to make the house payment and pay our bills for the most part for 4 years. And then the supply stopped. He just had something else for us to do, and He was with us and provided for us and led us on the rest of our journey. We're just going to tell part of our journey tonight. But it all started when Gary and I decided that we wanted to live the life that God made us for. And we didn't want the normal life of Gary just going to work every day and me just doing the housework and taking care of the kids and then going to church on Sunday. We wanted to have a more spiritual, supernatural kind of life. We actually wanted to see, oh wow, we're going to have a parade go through here. We really wanted God to do miracles through us. We wanted signs and wonders and just all kinds of really exciting spiritual things to happen in our lives, not just the normal mundane things. So we told the Lord we would only do what He told us to do. And because we thought if we didn't fulfill the purpose that He put us here for, what was the use of our living? So we both agreed to that, right? And we started trying to hear God more clearly. So Gary had quite a few encounters with God. I'm going to tell some of those, like the walk or climb experience you had with the Lord.
Yeah. It was
Eric Ralph is here.
It was an issue of finding some answers. It just seemed, since the issue with 9/11, everything was just drying up, and there didn't seem to be any other way to get things going. Panasonic at the time had the requirement for lockout, tagouts, basically both what were the process that they needed to do.
Here comes some more people.
What was required. Put together. Morgan Key.
Hey.
Hey, man.
Hi.
We're breaking on live here.
Yeah. We've already had one parade go through. Now it's our second parade. There goes Sean. There goes Brandy. Because you had gotten laid off from your job, but you were already trying to start a business of your own.
Yeah.
But the business atmosphere was pretty bad.
More companies were trying to do things in-house. They were not wanting to contract out anything. And even for what they could not produce, they went ahead and tried to do themselves anyways.
Hi, Vanessa. It's me.
There was just no way.
It's you, Vanessa. Go on.
Um,
Background noise. We're used to it.
the bank, more or less, after spending about 40 hours putting together a multitude of
Do we have a dog?
a multitude of things that was required, the 2 to 5 year
Business plan.
business plan, that basically projections. They wanted the projections for 3 or 2 to 5 years. They wanted what was the break even point, the issue of profit or gain. There was versus what it was that you had going out cost. Dealing with software, hardware, it's a whole different game than manufacturing.
Tim and Darla
It's
Clapton.
entirely different. Definitely difficult because you're dealing with intangibles, depending on what kind of analyst or what financial consultant or reviewer that's going over your content, going over your business plan. They may or may not approve just simply because they don't understand. There was there was a lot put together. I mean, we had even like I don't know if anybody remember Iridium before the whole cell phone, the major takeoff. Iridium actually had satellites up circling the Earth. You can make a phone call anywhere. However, it required a device like something you'd seen on Star Wars or one of the science fiction movies. They didn't do very well, so the satellites were left up there for a while. There were other issues. I mean, I've got it written down and it's on a Macintosh somewhere. It's on an old plan, but after all that, it was, in person. They were warm. They were open. They loved the idea. It looked like we were going to go forward on this, and then there was a letter of rejection that was sent to me and my partner, and after that nobody really knew what to do. And suddenly, as I was just standing out the door, and I was just praying,
Of our house.
looking out into the mudroom, and I don't know where I was or what was going on. All I know is that all of a sudden everything had changed, and it's like they had described, where you can't you can't pinpoint the location of the voice, and it's almost like the speaking. It's just coming from everywhere. It was pretty heavy. The challenge just to change, to no longer be doing what I was doing, to do something else entirely different. It's kind of hard. It's kind of difficult to, for some reason, to go back to. I guess it's because the events, everything that followed thereafter. The best way I could describe this is that the heavier the supernatural encounter that you have, the more impacting the encounter is, then the greater the resistance, the greater the challenge is going to be to what was either foretold or foretold. And this is the reason why a lot of those things are far and few in between, because it's whether you want to believe it to be a spiritual law or principle, it's true. The stronger the encounters, then the stronger the resistance. And to those that are mature, that are prepared, it's doable, and you can, you get it. You're used to resistance. You're used to things that you have to face off. And for those that aren't, a lot of people wonder why is it that God doesn't show up as much, and it's just simply because, really, just like everything else, for whatever is given, there's something to follow. There's a responsibility, and there's something, it costs you something. And all I know is that, as much as what I can tell you right now, it had nothing to do with anything I had planned. Had nothing to do with what I wanted to do, or I would have even dared anybody to even attempt. All I know is that there was a call, there was a challenge, and
Question.
yeah,
Did you want to walk or climb?
yes,
God asked you if you wanted to walk or climb.
yes,
And you chose to climb.
yes. Issue definitely was a matter of time, and it didn't seem like there was a whole lot. It didn't seem like to me there was a whole lot, and even for what time has already passed, I didn't think
It would take this long.
we had even 10. I didn't think I even had 10 years left, and
That was in 2001 or something.
yeah.
So you had that experience with the Lord, and I was asking the Lord to help me to hear Him better. Hello, Judy and Brenda and Juliana and my cousin Jody and Clint and Todd Summers. So my big test was I heard the Lord tell me, as I was like, Lord, I really want to be able to hear your voice. I know that people in these last days are really going to have to clearly hear God's voice, and so I need to hear God's voice. And so I heard Him say, go buy a new dress. And I was like, are you kidding? Why would I want to do that? Because, I wasn't even wearing dresses at that time. And we didn't really have a church we were going to. And if we did, nowadays people wear pants as much as they wear dresses, unless they're old-time Pentecostal. And we didn't go to that kind of church. So I didn't need a dress. I had some dresses, and I wasn't even wearing them. And so I was just like, is this you, God? And I thought, well, it must have been, because I wouldn't have thought of that. So Gary took me to Elder Bierman's in Dayton, and they were having Clover Days. And I had kind of seen it advertised, but I didn't know what Clover Days, I didn't know what that was. And they had these $100 dresses that were like 95% off, and so I was trying on these $100 dresses, and they were marked down to $15 and $10, and they were long dresses and really pretty, and I was having a great time. It was fun. And I found this really pretty blue long dress and this maroon colored one, and then a more casual, more practical brownish kind of dress that I thought, well, I could really wear this one to church. And I didn't know what I was going to do with those other two that I just loved them. So I just had to get them. And they were only like $15 a piece. So I got those 3 dresses, and I was so excited. And we didn't have much money at all, because Gary had already been laid off from his job, and the business wasn't doing anything. And so I really don't know how we had money during that time. It was just, God just had people give to us from time to time, and we always ended up able to pay our rent and pay our bills, and then we somehow had extra from time to time. Not very often. We really just got things that we needed during that time. But, so I bought those 3 dresses, took them home, tried them on for my mom. She oohed and awed over them. I loved them. It was so wonderful. I was so excited. Hey, listening to God, hearing God's voice is great. Well, the next morning I woke up and I heard, just joined in. Hi, Brenda. So I heard the Lord say, I told you to buy 1 dress. And it was getting pretty clear that, oh, yeah, I really am hearing from God now. He told me to get 1, and I bought 3. Oh, no. Uh-oh. So do I need to take 2 of them back? Yeah. Oh, no. Well, I really liked that blue one, and I was like, should I just keep the blue one, take the other 2 back? But I thought I better make sure and ask. So which dress should I keep? Which ones should I take back? And he had me take back the blue one and the brown one and keep the maroon one. So that's what I did, and that was hard. I didn't want to take those dresses back. But that was my journey in hearing God better. And there were other things too that happened along the way. But to back up a little bit, Gary had gotten laid off in December of 2001. At that time, we had 6 children. The youngest was 1 year old, and we had no savings when he got laid off. But God kept us in our house until March 1st, 2005. That was 4 years. And when we had to leave our house, our twins were 1 year old, and now we had 8 children at that time. So we had no income for almost 4 years. We did have food stamps for a while, but the county accused Gary of fraud and tried to throw him in prison because we had those food stamps. And that was not the only time the enemy tried to lock him up. We had an expired tag, and there was an unreasonable judge who wanted to throw Gary in jail. But God always intervened for us and kept Gary out of jail. You know, we were just minding our own business, sitting in our house, praying. We kept getting in trouble with the law. So Gary already talked about this part. We kept believing that God was going to keep us in our house. He kept providing enough money for house payments, bills, and groceries. And we were hoping against hope that he would just keep us in our house and do something miraculous to keep us in our house. But sometime in 2003, our provision started drying up, and we weren't able to pay the house payment, and we got behind on our mortgage. We were expecting God to miraculously save our house, but it didn't seem to be happening, so we put our house up for sale, and it wouldn't sell. We had prayed and marched around our property, giving it to the Lord and asking Him to help us keep it. Our children were right in there with us, marching around and claiming our property for God. I remember around Christmas of 2003, I was 8 months pregnant with the twins. I couldn't walk with them because I could hardly stand at that time. It was cold and snowy, but Gary and all 6 kids went out and marched around our property. We had about half an acre. We loved our home. We were hoping against hope that we would be able to keep our house. And God had done many miracles of provision during those years. One time, I don't know if it was the first Christmas or the second Christmas after Gary lost his job, a friend of a friend had a dream about me and the kids that we were pulled over on the side of the road in our van. And I was driving, and I had all the kids with me, and she drove by in the dream and knew that I had run out of gas, and I didn't have any money to get any gas to put in the van. And she took from that they needed to give to us, and she said something to her husband. He said, yeah, let's give to them. And so she came to our house, and she said she'd had a dream about me, and it scared me, because most of the times when people said they had a dream about me, it was usually something bad, something scary. So I was really nervous about her coming. But she came, and she brought us a check for $1,000, and also food left over from the Christmas party they had at their company. So that was $1,000. I was blown away by that. But also, several times we would get letters from Jesus in the mail containing money orders for like $500 and amounts like that. And we had friends who sent us $1,000 every time the Lord laid us on their hearts. One time, Katie and Gary prayed for Cheerios. Remember that? We had run out of cereal, and Katie was hungry, and Gary said, well, what kind of cereal do you want? And she said, Cheerios. And so they prayed for Cheerios, and a little after that, a lady brought groceries to us, and in the boxes, in the bags, there was a box of Cheerios. So that was very faith-building. We got to go to Florida for a vacation, first family vacation we had taken out of the state. At a time when Gary was laid off, we didn't have any money coming in, but we had just enough to, we talked about this the last time we were on our vacation in Florida. So that was pretty amazing that we were able to do that. So we thought he would miraculously save our house. But he had other plans. We gave it to him, and he took it as a burnt offering. So that's how we started on our journey of fire. We were evicted from our house, but it was the most gentle eviction anyone had ever heard of. We sang for our evictors. They gave us some money. They bought groceries for us and a couple of meals for us. They took our orders so they could get us what we really wanted. And inside, we were really scared and confused and didn't know what to do, but the Lord helped us to remain calm and peaceful, and they showed us lots of favor, didn't they? But we still ended up being kicked out of our own house, and we had nowhere to go, with 8 children, 2 of them only 1 year old. And our families considered us a disgrace to them. They thought it was our own fault. We had been foolish, and this was the result. So we couldn't go stay with our parents, so we left, but we didn't know where to go. We had a friend who let us stay with her for a couple of months, but it got to be too much for her. So we left her house and we went to southern Ohio where Gary's Aunt Laura lived, and we stayed with her about a week. And she loved every minute of it, didn't she? But people were talking and they thought we were taking advantage of her, so we left. And we ended up at my parents' house as a last resort. And it was torment because we didn't know what we were supposed to do. And once again, people were complaining and saying that we were taking advantage of Mom and Dad. So we prayed and we went to a church that had refreshing services. We went there like every week. And we got several prophetic words telling us to leave. But we didn't know how we were going to leave or where we were supposed to go. Our van had problems and we didn't have much money and we had no direction, except we had been praying about moving to Arizona, but we certainly hadn't expected to go under these conditions. One of the prophets told Gary to just announce that we were leaving and see what God would do. So we did, and Gary's dad offered to get our van fixed so that it would keep running instead of stopping while we were driving along. And then random people, some of the people we least expected to give us any money, they started giving us money, and it only ended up being about $3,000, but it was enough to get started. So we took off from Ohio with no clear destination, kind of like Abraham, hoping that God would show us more on the way and hoping he would do some great miracle that would turn our whole situation around. So we went through IHOP in Kansas City, and that was a really neat experience. And we got to stay in a lady's house for a month for free. And that's why she had that house, was for people to come and visit IHOP, the International House of Prayer. Then we went to Colorado, and we just had a lot of miraculous things happen to sustain us during our time of homelessness. And we got to Arizona, but nothing opened up for us there at all. And there was just like, we were praying and trying to hear from God, and we just really weren't getting much, were we? No. And so finally we just knew we were supposed to leave Arizona, and a pastor we had met through a friend from IHOP helped us to get back to Colorado. And we stayed there a little bit, trying to see if something might open up in Colorado Springs, but it didn't. And miraculously, we did get $35 to put gas in the van because we were out of money, and the van was out of gas. But the friend who had referred us to that pastor, sent us $35. So we were able to get back to where he was. He gave us a little bit more money, and we made it back to Kansas City. And so we lived in Kansas City for 3 years after that. Had 2 more babies. So now we had 10 kids. And Gary had 2 jobs while we were there. And I spent lots of time in the prayer room and several trips to the prophecy rooms there at IHOP. And then suddenly, one day, Gary got a call from a recruiter, because the jobs that Gary had, he was finally getting to where he's making pretty good money, but it wasn't enough really we could pay the rent and our bills barely. We still needed food from the food bank and stuff like that. But he finally got a job in Illinois that was going to make a lot more than he was making. So we were all really excited. We finally had something that was turning everything around for us. But the big thing that happened was our neighbors threw us a going away party. And I didn't think anybody would even come, because IHOP was made up of mostly 20-somethings, and we were 40-somethings, and we hadn't been able to make very many friends. But after the party, I found an envelope on our table. The people must have given it to Gary, and he didn't tell me about it. He just laid it on our table, and Anna found this envelope on the table and said, "What's this?" And I said, "I don't know. Open it." And she did, and her eyes popped open. And I said, "What is it?" And she said, it's a check. And she was pretty young, and she said, "I think it's a check." And I said, "Well, how much is it?" And she goes, "I'm not sure I don't know how to read this many zeros." And I said, "What?" Hand me that check. And she handed it to me, and it was $20,000. Our neighbors had given us $20,000. And we thought they were more poor than we were, but they had come into an inheritance not too long before that, and they just wanted to bless us. We were their entertainment. They lived right across the street from us, and they could watch out their window and see our kids doing all their shenanigans. And so Vanessa's awed by the $20,000. Yeah, they put a letter in with it saying it's not going to hurt us at all to give this to you, and we just wanted to bless you. We know you want a house. And so that's how we were able to move to 3 different states after that, and we wouldn't have been able to make all those moves with 10 children and all of our stuff. So that was a big, exciting thing that God did for us at that time. And he was very faithful to take care of us through all of that. It was really, really a hard time to just trust God and hope against hope all of that time. But he was always very faithful. He always took care of us. Even on the trip when we were just in the van. We had no home. We had 6 outfits in our duffel bags for each of us. And the twins were only 1 year old, still nursing. We had a van that was only a 7-passenger van, and there were 10 of us and 2 babies who were still nursing. They had to be passed back to me so I could nurse them all the time. It was rough, but God took care of us, and he always provided money and food and a place to stay. We stayed in a lot of hotels and stayed in some really nice hotels, didn't we? Because we got these really good deals. So that is how God really took care of us as we were hoping against hope, and that was a huge surprise and an amazing thing that he did for us. So we want to encourage people that no matter how hard things get and how bad things seem financially and in other ways in your family and your life, God is faithful. He will take care of you, and he may do something really big that will just bless your socks off, and you won't even we just kept hoping for something like that. But when it happened, I just fell back against the wall. $20,000, is this for real? And when I saw who it was from, I thought, how? So that is what happened, what God did for us, and He will do great things for you too. Just keep hoping against hope, no matter what the circumstances look like, and just trust Him. He is faithful. Do you have anything you want to say? No? We always wait too late, and Gary gets really tired. He's been really busy. Clint said that's an amazing testimony. Yep, God is good. And we've got more testimonies, but that's the one for tonight. So we will see you all next time. Love you all. Again, if you have any prayer requests, let us know. And any comments or anything, we would appreciate it. And I don't know what's coming up next Friday. Next Friday. What is next Friday? Thanksgiving is the week after that. So we might be back next Friday. Are you going to be back next Friday? If Gary's back next Friday, we'll be back next Friday. Clint says, Gary, wake up, sleepyhead. He's had a big day. We had to take a bunch of kids to work and then go for an interview and all kinds of things today. That's why he's so dressed up. So we love you all, and we'll see you next time, hopefully next Friday, right? Good night. Love you too, Jody. Oh, somebody said amazing testimony. Ah, Christine. Hi, Christine. Thank you, guys. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you for coming on. Thank you, Vanessa. Yes, thank you. Bye.